Very good evening. Jai Shri Krishna Guru. Thank you for joining Sai Satcharita Parayan. I hope you had a wonderful day today, and thank you for the break. It was we're shifting the place. Today we are doing the Sai Satcharita Parayan from a new place, and also I would like to make a small announcement for those who are interested in coming in person to attend the satsangs. You're very free to come and join us at Villa 260 Bar 7, Palm Meadows, Whitefield Main Road. Please let me know. You can send me a message or you can WhatsApp me, and we will accommodate those who are interested to come here. And once again, let us continue from where we stopped. Thank you for joining the Sai Satcharita Parayan. Sai Satcharita, the life and teachings of Shirdi, Sai Baba. Chapter 26, Averting Epileptic Fits and Suicide and Confirmation of Faith in One's Own Guru. My obeisance to Shri Ganesh, to Shri Saraswati and Shri Guru Maharaj, to the family deity, to Shri Sita Ramachandra. My most humble obeisance I bow in reverence to the most venerable Guru, Shri Sai Nath. I missed doing my prayers. I apologize. Let me do it now. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. We stopped at verse 113. We will be beginning with a new story from verse 114. There was an excellent devotee called Gopal Narayan Ambedkar who lived in Pune. Listen carefully to his story. He had a job in the excise department under the British government. After completing 10 years of service, he left the job and sat at home. His fate changed for the worse. All days are not alike. He was caught up in the whirl of adverse planetary situation. Who can give a slip to fate and escape its adverse effects? To begin with, he was posted in the Thane district, but later he was destined to serve at Jawahar. And there, where he was once an officer, he now became jobless. But a job is like water on a caladium leaf. How will it come back to the former position? He made the utmost effort at the time, but he had no luck. So he resolved to persevere his independence. Trouble followed, trouble reaching a peak. He became despondent in every way. Year after year, his financial position was sliding downwards. Calamities followed in quick succession. The domestic scene became unendurable. 7 years passed by thus. Every year, he would go to Shirdi, enumerating before Baba all his hardships, prostrating at his feet day and night. In the year 1916, his distress and disgust for life reached its culmination, and he felt like putting an end to his life in the holy Shirdi. I'm sure this is a very common situation or the story of everyone's life. At a period in time, all of us, be it me or anyone, we all go through this kind of an issue. For some, it is 7 years not having a job. For some, it is a year. For some, it is 2 years. For some, they have lost the entire money. Somebody has to shut down their business. Or somebody, though having the money, must have given to somebody else. And that person must have cheated. You can reason it out and you can ask yourself, no matter what, every human being, rich or poor, goes through his own phase of the karma that he has born with. Now, if you look at this story here, it's mentioning how bad his situation was, despite he visiting Shirdi every year, meeting with Baba. No matter what, his situation did not get better. On the contrary, the hardships increased. But as a normal human being, what we say is that we blame God. The moment something bad happens, we say, God, why are you doing this to me? That's the first thing that comes to your mind. What have I done? I'll give you a very classic example. One of my family friends, I know them from since I was a child. Now, this person has been an ardent devotee of Lord Krishna. And he has been living a very disciplined and a healthy life. Suddenly, this person ended up with some kind of a sickness. Today, this person is undergoing a terrible situation, and he is unable to recover from that situation. No matter whatever medical treatment they have been able to get, yet his health has been deteriorating continuously. So the person says to me, what is the thing that bad we have done? We've been very good. We've always done the right things. My Guruji, my Krishna Guruji, will always say this. That is everybody's point of view. You think you have not done anything wrong, but how do you know that you have not done in some of your previous lives? Do you remember what kind of karma have you created? So my Guruji will always say, because he is the knower of the past, present and the future of every individual's life. He's the Master Almighty, he's all knowing. So he knows. So he'll tell me, don't talk about this, don't say this nonsensical stuff that what have I done, like every other human being. Everybody, cries like this, oh, what is the bad I have done? I've been such a good human being. That is only your point of view. Go ask the Divine Almighty, what is that you have done because of which you're suffering so much? So no matter whether it is a job loss, it's a financial situation, or loss with your business, anything is only because of your past karma that you are suffering, and you have to endure all of that. But when you face with strength, when you face with the faith in the divine, you will be able to surpass all that and move ahead. But as human beings, we cannot accept such events in our life. We feel miserable and we always want to fight our destiny. Accepting fate is an important aspect of life. That is how you can attain blissful state. But we human beings don't. So let us understand what is going to happen here. In the year 1916, his distress and disgust for life reached its culmination, and he felt like putting an end to his life in the holy Shirdi itself. At that time, he had been staying in Shirdi with his family for 2 months. Now listen to what happened one night. As Ambedkar was sitting in a bullock cart in front of Dikshit Wada, wild thoughts raised his mind. Tired of life itself, he had become disinterested and disheartened. Enough, he thought. Enough of this suffering. I have lost all hope for living. So thinking, recklessly despondent of his own life, Ambedkar was ready to jump into the well. Taking the opportunity when everything is quiet and no one is nearby, I shall satisfy the desire of my heart and will get freedom from pain and suffering, so he thought. To take one's own life is really a great sin. Yet he made this firm resolve. But Sai Baba, who controls everything, averted this rash action. It's very stupid to say that I want to die, and so that all my problems will come to an end. See, death is inevitable. But if you are programmed to commit suicide and die, nobody can avert that in your life. That is how your death has been written. It's a very beautiful story I'll narrate here, but nothing in context to this. There was a point in time, it was my mother and me. We had this very interesting situation in life. This was a test by the Divine Almighty Lord Himself. It was sometime in December. For whatever reason, my parents thought that I was going on the wrong path. Spirituality means I'm going to become a sannyasi, or I'm going to leave this material world and go away. All the bad thoughts. There was too many thoughts that had cluttered their mind, and their own imaginations ran wild. So during that time, I think it was very close to my mother's birthday, sometime in December. I still remember. This was back in 2011, very early days during my spiritual, on the journey with my master or in spiritual. At that time, what happened was, she was very irritated. They all believed that I'm doing something big crime in my life, saying that I don't want to get married. I want to, just be on the path of spiritual, all that. They also thought that my Guruji is taking my money and running away. All the nonsensical thought, how a human mind can think, is terrible. She called me. I was living in Singapore. At that time, she said, you know what? I need a gift from you for my birthday. And she said, I'm going to, either you choose between me or your Krishna. Otherwise, I will commit suicide and die. I said, what? You are challenging the Lord Almighty? Choose between Krishna and me? You're just a human being. And then it was a very sad moment for me. Is this how somebody can be? It was really, really upsetting. But at that moment in time, the faith in my Guruji and the divine was so strong. I said to myself, and I said, my Krishna is with me, my Lord Krishna is with me, my Guruji is with me, nothing shall befall. And I know for sure that death is not in my mother's hand. So I told her this very simple thing. I choose Krishna over you, and I know for sure that death is not in your hands. If you have to die, please be my guest. I will. At this rate, everybody will decide when they want to die. Then why is Lord Almighty is there to define everybody's birth and death? That's all I told to her. And then I surrendered to the will of the divine. I told the Lord, do what you think is right, but I will only choose you. I don't want any of these people in my world. I was very, very clear. I went to my Guruji and I cried. I said, I didn't ever imagine that I would see this day. But that was the test to see whether you need the divine or you want to get lost in the material world. It is so beautiful. I just surrendered like this, opened my hands and surrendered to the will of the divine. That's the most amazing thing that ever happened. And after that, that whole event itself was banished. Very beautifully, my parents accepted, understood what exactly I am doing more than my dad. My mom understood that I am definitely on the path of spiritual. I am only journeying a very beautiful path that they don't understand because they don't have that in them. Today, without a grace of the Guru, you cannot go on the path of a spiritual. It is not everybody's cup of tea. And you have to be the devotee of the Lord. In fact, it's beautiful that just this evening in Das Bodh Satsang, my Guruji has very beautifully explained what Samarth Ramdas is saying. Only if you're a devotee of the Lord can you even understand what the devotion means, and you will be on the path of spiritual. Everybody is not a devotee. You can only be a disciple. So there's a very deeper meaning of it, and also everybody's understanding capacity is very different. So on this aspect of suicide, I just narrated this example. So please know that nobody can take decision on death, and running away from life is not the answer for whatever karma that you have come with. See, my Guruji will always say, many of his students will sometimes say, getting frustrated with life, they'll just message him saying, I want to be committing suicide. You know what my Guruji will say? Be my guest. Welcome. You are more welcome to do so. Please go do commit suicide. That's exactly how he speaks. You know why? Because he understands these are ignorant beings, because they are not able to face their own life. You have to face your life. You have to go through. Karma is inevitable. Prarabdha karma, you have to face it. But when your Guru's grace is there, why are you bothered of it? You just need to have that faith. And then everything will be very beautiful. But face your life with guts. That is very, very important. There is no escapism. You can't run away. So let's see what happens here. To take one's own life is really a great sin. And yet he made this firm resolve. But Sai Baba's, who controls everything, averted this rash action. Just a few steps away from the spot where Ambedkar was sitting was the house of an eating house proprietor, Sagun Meru Naik, who was a great devotee of Baba and served him faithfully. Sagun suddenly came up to his doorstep and asked Ambedkar at that very moment, "Have you ever read this Poti of Akkalkot Maharaj?" Let me see, said Ambedkar eagerly, as he took in his hand and began to glance through its pages quite casually. He then started reading somewhere in the middle. As luck would have it, the subject that he just started reading about was most appropriate for his innermost thoughts and made it mark on his mind at once. I shall now narrate the story that came up for his reading so very naturally. It will be related briefly and in its essence so as to avoid making this book bulky. When the great contemplative saint Akkalkot Maharaj was at Akkalkot, one of his devotees was undergoing suffering beyond his endurance and was in great distress due to his disease. In order to obtain freedom from his affliction, he served Maharaj for many days, and now he could bear the pain no more. He was greatly agitated and worried, determined to put an end to his life, and seeing that it was night, when everything was quiet, he went to a well and jumped into it. Suddenly, Maharaj came there, took him out with his own hands, and said to him, "Whatever suffering fate has ordained for us has to be borne. Absolutely. See, there is no way you can escape. People should understand this. There is no point in saying, oh, why am I facing this life? I have problems at work, I have problems with money, financial crisis, you name it, diseases, health issues, children, father, mother. Oh God, we are torn apart from all the ends. And we feel so terrible. What is this life we are leading? The most beautiful aspect and the most important reason, the purpose of this human birth itself, you're forgetting. And what is that? That is to attain the spiritual being. Why are you forgetting the most important reason for why you have got this human body? That has to be the first goal. Secondly, is to remove all your karmas, whatever that you can. Redeem it in this human birth, this one life that you have as human being. And the next aspect is to attain the love and devotion for the divine. It's the most important thing. Besides that, you don't have anything to do in this world. But the sad part is, we human beings, the moment we are born as a body, we forget all of that and get lost believing that I am this body, I am this mind, I am all this, I am suffering, this pain is happening. My Guruji will always say, I am not this body. Say this. Have this conviction that you are not this body. That whatever the suffering the body has to go through, because it's got its prarabdha karma. Even the great Lord Almighties are not exempted from it. Everybody has to go through. Example, Lord Shri Ram did cry when Sita Maya was, she was kidnapped by Ravana. But doesn't that sound so funny? That Lord Shri Ram, he's a realized being, he's a Lord Almighty, and he's crying. See, this body is a Maya. He's believing that his wife is kidnapped. So that's the Maya. Even the Lord is not spared. So who do you think you are to say that, oh, I shouldn't suffer? We all have to go through this. It's a very, very important thing. So don't run away from it. Just put your faith in the divine and everything will be magic. Actually, there's a very beautiful teaching which my Guruji has given, and I'm going to read that out to you. Few words to help you tide over anything at all times are prayers and hard work. There are only two things. You have to have absolute faith, and you just need to pray to the divine that you let the divine take care of your life, and you have to put your hard work. There are no shortcuts for anything. My Guruji will say, when you do a job, you're not doing believing that whether you're going to make a billion or you're going to you're going to incur losses. You're not doing the job with an expectation that I want to become a billionaire. Yeah, we have to plan for success, but please know that success and failure is never in our hands. So, my Guruji then has said, faith in God and sincere efforts pay great dividends finally. This is all you need to do. There is no point in saying, oh, I'm working so hard, yet nothing is happening in my life. No, never ever say that. Whatever you have to get, the Lord Almighty is already programmed for it. Why are you even worried about how you're going to get, when you're going to get? Don't even be bothered. Just surrender to His will and just do your part of the deal, and He will take care of everything else. He'll do the rest. So let's come back to the story. Unless we fully suffer the consequences of our previous karma in the form of disease, affliction, leprosy or pain, what can a suicide do? Moreover, unless this pain and suffering is undergone fully, another birth has to be taken to complete it. Therefore, bear this suffering a little more. Do not be provoked into destroying your own life. My Guruji also has taught a very important thing. You know what he says? You might end your life. He'll say, okay, be my guest and end your life. You again have to come back in some other life of yours and have to continue with its suffering, because the karma has not been finished. You're only ending it abruptly. And please know that when you end it abruptly, you're actually adding more sins to it, because you have gone against that will of the divine. So this is a greater sin. It is very clearly mentioned. So never ever harbor such thoughts. The moment even your mind gives you such thoughts, please and surrender to the divine, to whichever God you believe, to whoever the God you pray, your Ishta. Just surrender to that God and say, my mind is instigating it. instigating me. Please take care of me and surrender to the divine Almighty Lord. He will take care of you. On reading the story, so befitting the present occasion, Ambedkar was simply amazed and at once felt quite ashamed of himself in the face of such all-pervasiveness of Baba. In his heart, Ambedkar understood fully well that what is preordained must be endured. This was what was suggested to him at the right moment, and that the hazardous step he had contemplated as was not for his good. This visionary experience was, in effect, as the voice from heaven. On seeing Sai's marvelous Leela, his faith in Sai was strengthened further. Had the warning from Sai, given so unexpectedly through the book and from Sagun's mouth, been delayed even slightly, it would have ruined his life. I would have lost my life, he thought, and brought upon my family great harm, bringing great hardship on my wife. I would thus have lost materially and spiritually. But under the pretext of this poti, it was Baba who induced Sagun to turn my mind back from the thought of ending my life. If such a thing had not happened, the poor fellow would have lost his life in vain. But where there is a savior like Sai, how can the killer destroy? The father of this devotee had great devotion for Akkalkot Swami. Baba merely reiterated through this experience that this worship should be continued in the same way. By the way, Akkalkot Maharaj, Swami Samarth is Guru of Sai Baba. I'll actually tell you a very beautiful experience that I myself had with Swami Samarth. Let me finish the story and then narrate my own experience. Thus, everything turned out well afterwards. Even those days of hardships passed away. He took great trouble to study astrology and soon enjoyed the fruits of his study. By Sai's grace and his prasad, he saw better days. He gained proficiency in astrology. The poverty of the earlier days disappeared soon. His loving devotion to the Guru grew. Happiness, prosperity followed, and he now enjoyed domestic felicity and comfort. In every way, he was now very happy. Innumerable are such miracles, each more interesting than the other, narration of all of which will only increase the volume of the book. Hence, only their essence has been narrated. Hemant surrenders humbly at Sai's feet. In the next chapter, we'll follow the interesting narration of how Baba gave the gift of Vishnu Sahasranam to Shama. In spite of Shama's repeated refusal, out of his boundless affection for Shama, Baba forced the Sahasranam on him, pointing out its great significance to him. So now listen to the story carefully, where Baba will be seen to initiate the disciple at the appropriate time and much against the wishes of the disciple. At the end of the chapter, it will be seen how remarkable is the manner of initiation from the Sadguru. Listen to it, O listeners, with reverence. Beneficence of all beneficence. The Sai is a very treasure of all excellences. Only the most fortunate get the chance to listen to his sacred, purifying kirtan and to the story of his life. How beautiful it is. Before that, let me narrate my own experience of Swami Samarth. Along with my Guruji and few of other disciples, we all went on a pilgrimage. We went to Pandharpur, we went to Akkalkot, Gangapur, and Narsovachawadi. So during the visit to Akkalkot, we went into this temple. That's the first time I was seeing the photo of Swami Samarth in such a close contact. It's huge. And my Guruji had already explained about how his eyes would be like a fiery, and he was always a little, like kind of angry person sort of. Just looking at him, it was so powerful. His eyes were like the red, and it was really, really fiery. So we had darshan, and we took we did this circumambulated the tree, the people tree, where he used to sit under that people tree. And there was a leaf that fell. My Guruji lifted that and he gave it to me as a blessing. He said, keep it with you. Then after having the darshan, I didn't know about this. I just came inside the shrine and I sat for a few minutes just to wanting to see him for a little longer. So I sat in a place not knowing that we are not allowed to sit. I didn't see what was behind me. So I sat down like this. And after 10 minutes, the priest from inside comes and says, you cannot sit over there. Please get up. And the moment I turned back, oh my God, I got a shock of my life. It was Swami Samarth's feet on my head. There was a huge photo of his, which exactly, the height was exactly, like exactly this much. So from here started that huge massive photo and his feet literally rested on my head. It was the greatest blessing. I was literally pouring tears. This is how the great masters bless you. They are so peculiar and unique. You cannot even imagine, you cannot fathom, you cannot comprehend them. It's so powerful. I cried literally like a child. I couldn't, there was no words flowing from my mouth. I couldn't even say anything. I was speechless. Such are the experiences of the great masters. When you have the devotion in your heart, when you have that faith. For me, that was my first visit to Akkalkot, and I had heard about Swami Samarth so much from my Guruji, different stories, and having read in this Pothi itself how Baba met his Gurudev and what it is Gurudev did. And there's one chapter which we will be doing sometime in the future as we journey along this beautiful Leelas of Sai Baba. In that he gives a great understanding what it is Guruji do and how he taught him. It is very beautiful. In fact, in earlier chapter we also learned how would Baba serve his Gurudev. It's so profound. That is how these great masters work. Okay, so let's begin with the next chapter. Chapter 27, Bestowal of Grace. When you hold fast to the Sadguru's feet, you are really paying obeisance to the Trimurti, that is Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. It is an obeisance to the Parabrahman or God himself, which brings the greatest self-rejoicing. Absolutely. Guru Sakshat Parabrahma. Please note, it's not only the Trimurtis, but you are actually praying the entire universe, the gods, the pantheon of the gods and goddesses in the great divine master when you just fall at his feet. You take a plunge into the ocean and acquire the merit of having made the pilgrimage to all the holy places. Absolutely true. You don't have to go to any holy place. Just as, when you fall at the feet of your Guruji, there resides all the holy places. You have actually done pilgrimage to entire holy places on this planet Earth. That is the greatness of the great masters. Similarly, you hold firmly to the Guru's feet and you will have found all the gods there, absolutely. Glory to you, O Sadguru Sai, O Kalpataru, that gives us the Sayujya Mukti. Blessed are you, the ocean of self-knowledge. Inspire the listeners' minds with a reverence towards the story. As the chartered birds await eagerly the raindrops from the cloud, so do the faithful for this nectar-sweet story. May all your devotees savor this nectar and rejoice forever. As they listen to your pure, sacred story, may drops of perspiration spring up all over their bodies. Tears of love gather thickly in the eyes, and the vital airs in their deep attachment linger at your feet. May the mind be overcome with a powerful love, the head stand on end again and again with excessive joy. May it bring forth sobbing and crying repeatedly to the listeners and their families. Absolutely. See, these are the experiences that happens that your body, in which happens to your body when the devotion is absolutely pure. You will cry for no rhyme or reason. There will be horripilation that, the hairs will be standing at the end and you don't know what's happening to you. You'll just be pining for the divine. There's something tearing apart within your heart. All these are experiences which are undescribable and only you can, indescribable. Only you can know what you're going through. Nobody can ever, experience the same thing. It is incomparable. The one thing that all can experience is how you can cry for the divine. It's your faith, it's your conviction, it's your love that you can literally cry. And that tears is the most beautiful tears and it's worth every drop that you shed for the Lord Almighty. It has been a while, earlier in my life, my own life, right? As I grew up, I've always gone through a lot of difficulties. I had faced a lot of difficulties. And at that time, what has happened was, I used to always keep worrying, what's going to happen, one after the other. Some of the problem we would encounter, and then we are like, oh God, what is this life all about? There was no happiness. I've cried, I've seen my parents crying, something or the other situations. And my mom is always very emotional and she'll end up crying a lot. And I wondered, why should I cry so much? Then after meeting my Guruji, you know what? My tears are no longer for material worldly sufferings. My tears are only in love for the Lord, in that beautiful pain for wanting the Lord. As I evolve on the path of spiritual, the suffering is only for love. That is how I started crying. That is what I experienced, and it is so beautiful. And today I don't cry for any other human being. My tears are only for Lord Almighty and my Guruji, nobody else. It's only for Lord Shri Krishna. Why should I waste my tears on any human being? It's not worth it. So if you cry, cry for the divine alone. It is not worth for crying any material worldly beings, for anybody in this world except the Lord Almighty. May their assistance to each other, the differences between the great and the small be shed, for a careful search within will bring the realization that this is the real awakening to the Guru's grace. This perception of the Guru's grace cannot be seen by the eyes, for it is beyond all sense organs, and except for the Sadguru, its giver is not to be found elsewhere. Search as you may in all the three worlds. Unless there is a deep devotion, unbounded love, and an unswerving faith in the Guru, the six passions like lust, anger, etc. will not be abated, and the Ashtabhava will not rise. In fact, this is very, very true. Unless there is a deep devotion, unbounded love, in fact, it is more than unbounded, it is unconditional love, and an unswerving faith, absolute faith in the Guru. The six passions like the lust, anger, desire, greed, you name it, is never going to go out of your life. And the Ashtabhava will not arise. Absolutely true. You know, in Bhagavatam and many other scriptures, they have described beautifully what are these Ashtabhava mean. And to me, that is what I experience in my Guruji, my Krishna Guruji. He's the Lord Almighty, Lord Shri Krishna himself. The Ashtabhav that I so beautifully experience in him. It's so cute, actually. I didn't tell him this. I was seeing Facebook this morning somewhere, and I saw that yesterday, or I don't know which day it was. They said Happy Daughter's Day. I was like, Krishna Ma, I'm your daughter too. You didn't wish me, sort of. I just felt like in my heart, but doesn't matter. Does it really matter? Do you need a specific day for someone to wish you and then you can experience that love? No. With my Krishna Ma, I experience that mother-daughter all day long. I'm his child, literally. It's so cute that he'll someday take a baton and run after me. He's like, you didn't do this, he's after me, It's so cute. Even this morning, he's been like, you need to get ready fast. We've been moving and so many things are happening and I was a little slow. For whatever reason, everybody has to overcome their own tendencies, and as you evolve on the path of spiritual, things are not going to get easier, it's going to get more tougher. So my Guruji understands this, but he's like, you have to go beyond that. When you're on the path of spiritual, you have to fight the demons. Who are these demons? They are all your tendencies. In fact, you need to cut asunder all these demons, and go past that, because you have the knowledge of the truth. When you have that knowledge, when you have that power within you, why are you becoming like a human being? So that's the whole point. So he'll keep driving each one of us up the wall, and he'll say, no, you have to empower yourself. The most important thing you need to overcome is your mind. So my mind is like coming so strong, and it's like I'm like not even able to run faster. So it's a funny situation. So he's like literally, he'll drive me up the wall. So I keep calling him Krishna Ma. So he's my mother, I'm his daughter. So that's the cutest love. You don't need somebody to wish you, and only when they wish doesn't mean that is what you experience. It's a very beautiful bhav to experience. So the Ashtabhavs are very beautiful. You can experience whatever you want in that Lord Almighty, your Guruji, when you have that faith, when you are absolutely in love with the divine. And that comes only with the grace of the Guru, not anyone. Not anybody else. You cannot just attain that devotion. No matter how much I try to explain, you cannot understand till you don't experience it your own, you yourself. You have to experience that. And this is one of the things my Guruji was teaching this evening in Das Bodh Satsang. He says, you have to go deeper. Today, we are all studying at a surface level. We are not going deeper into that one word to understand how deep can it go. How deep can it go? This is what he's teaching. Today, we are all very average. We're very mediocre. Even the realization or whatever that devotion that you have is very only surface level. We're not even trying to go deeper into it to understand how deep it is. What is that experience? What does it feel like? What does it mean? All we're listening is the words, but the words need to have an understanding. To get that understanding, you need to experience it. Till you yourself don't experience, you cannot understand what does that love mean. For which you have to put arduous effort, hard work, self-effort. We come back to the same thing. So anyway, let's continue. So unless there is a deep devotion, unbounded love and an unswerving faith in the Guru, the 6 passions like lust, anger, etc. will not be abated and the Ashtabhava will not arise. The devotee's blissful joy of self brings greatest happiness to the Guru. And as the devotee is more firmly set towards the spiritual goal, greater is the Guru's fond admiration for him. This is so true actually. Like I say, my Guruji says, the best Guru Dakshina that you can offer your Guruji is not the wealth, not money, nothing. You attaining that spiritual will becomes his of Guru Dakshina. When you attain that, when you make him proud of being his best devotee and a disciple and achieving the highest, that is what makes him proud. That is what you will offer him as the best Guru Dakshina ever. It is not your money, it is not what you give him, it's not the things that you buy for him. Nothing will make him as happy as when his student attains that spiritual will. This is what is so beautifully described here as well. My Guruji will always say, the day you reach your destination, that is the day I will be very proud of you. That is the day I will be satisfied of any of the Guru Dakshina that you would have offered to me. I don't need anything else. I don't need you to give me something very fancy things and all that. My Guruji doesn't want anything. He says nothing. I just humor you people. I only accept because it's your desire. So I accept. You think, do I really need this? Does it even matter? Do I care about it? No. It is only to keep up your, that we say that's my icha. It is my innermost desire to offer something. So it's all about desires only. But what he expects is something very different. That is what we need to offer the Guruji. That is what will be your best offering that you can ever give your Gurudev. The day when he sees his devotee and disciple his student reaching that zenith of that spiritual, it's not success. It's like you've progressed so well. That is what will make him proud of you. So do that. A total identification with the material, the body, the house, sons and wife as being one's own is an exercise in futility. For all this is transitory, illusory Maya, like the flitting noonday shadows. If one wants to avoid getting entangled in the meshes of this Maya, one should surrender with a single-minded devotion to Sai, trying to unravel the mystery of this Maya. The way the Shastras have accepted defeat, only he who sees God in all the created things, animate and inanimate, can overcome Maya with certainty. Blessed indeed was the Patil Chandbai who in the beginning brought Fakir Sai with him to Nevasa when he left the Nizam state. There the Fakir stayed on for 6 months or a year, and there it was that he had for company Kama from Kannad village in district Rahuri. Later, however, all these people came from there to Shirdi with Baba, Kama and Daguru Tamboli of the well-known Takli village. Innumerable are the holy places of pilgrimage spread out in different parts of the country. But to the devotees of Sai, Shirdi alone is the holiest of all. Wherever your Guruji lives, that is the holiest place for you. You should know that. Sorry. And had not Baba come to Shirdi by a stroke of fortune, how could we, his humble devotees, have had the good fortune of enjoying his holy company? It was indeed a great stroke of luck, Whoever among the devotees surrenders to him totally, Sai will guide him properly to the path of righteousness for his own welfare. Hence, O listeners, read this Satcharita with concentration, for the sacred life of Sai is the best means of attaining Guru's grace. Absolutely true. In the last chapter, it was described how one devotee was confirmed in his faith and devotion to his own Guru, and how another one was given the mark of Akkalkot Swami, thereby reviving his faith and devotion towards his Guru. How yet another devotee was prevented from ending his life and was, by an ingenious plan, saved in a moment from the brink of death and granted the gift of life quite unexpectedly. Now in this chapter, it will be narrated how Sai would sometimes be pleased to confer his grace on the devotees, making them happy and content. It was a unique way of granting literally initiation, when to some he would bestow it amid humor and laughter. May the listeners listen to this attentively. Many were his ways of conferring grace and instructing, which have been described earlier in the same book. Each devotee was initiated into the spiritual path according to his capacity. This is a very important thing that you need to understand. Everybody is not going to be initiated in the same manner as the other. So please never compare yourself with another being. Only the Guru, the Krishna Ma, the Guru who's the mother, understands what is good for each of his child. His or her child. So he is not going to give you something that you cannot digest. So trust the decision, and whatever your Guruji has instructed you on whatever the path is, you have to be extremely happy and focus in that. And trust me, you will attain the highest spiritual wheel. But don't try to compare. Don't try to say that, oh, you gave someone this, you didn't give me this. It's very funny. I have myself gone through this. I've narrated this story, but I will once again say this. When I met my Guruji in the beginning, and he had one of his students, and he has this very unique way, like I keep telling, he uses everybody as a catalyst. Why? Because he wants you to, have that aspiration that I want to top, somebody else. So it's not a comparison, but he tries to provoke you and put the thought in you, saying, look, she's so good, she's my best, she's the best disciple, she does so many things, she has already reached there. Not because he wants you to fall down or feel small or feel, I don't know, whatever. The reason he does that is because he wants you to have that fire in your belly and say, you know what, I will do much better than anybody else, and challenge your own self and drive yourself to achieve that. That is what his goal is, and he uses each one as a catalyst amongst the others, so that everybody has that strength and the challenge and wanting to win. That is what he burns up, that fire in your belly. And at that time, then I had this thing, I want to be the highest devotee of my Guruji. I want to be the number one, all these crazy things. I've always had this aspiration, whether it be in my career or anywhere else. I have to be the number one devotee of my Gurudev. I want to be the highest devotee of my Guruji. I want to be the best disciple. All this is such a funny thing. It's just like small kids, they compete against each other. That's exactly how it felt. And then I remember him telling me, you know what, I want you to teach me, I want a fast track. I use this very interesting, funny word. I said, I want you to fast track me in my spiritual journey. I want to learn all the scriptures. How foolish I was. I didn't even understand what it meant at that time. I was such an ignorant being. It was just I was very early on my path of spiritual. It was just that, they say, you're not even opened up. You're just still too young in that journey itself. And at that moment in time, my Guruji would listen to all my banter. And then, it was so funny. I had not even started on my spiritual journey until 2014. I got initiated. I met my Guruji in 2009, 14th August. But until 2014, he had not even started me on my spiritual knowledge. But in 2014, after finishing the Sai Satcharita, that was in 2013, after I finished early, I think I completed reading Sai Satcharita from 2013 to 2014, Jan. And that year in Feb, after doing the Samapti, he said, Okay, now I would want to do this text with you, and on his own will he brought Tripura Rahasyam. That's my most dear, most favorite scripture on planet Earth, because that is that is what my Guruji himself read when he started his spiritual journey. It's about the teachings of Lord Dattatreya. In that he teaches Parshuram how to he teaches Parshuram onto how does he attain the spiritual wheel and what he has to do and all that. It's a very beautiful text. Probably someday we will do that. So coming back, his way of initiating and his way of granting knowledge is completely different, and you cannot even fathom. But they do everything at the appointed timing. When I say appointed timing, you cannot have it at your own will or when you think is right. What you think is right for you might not be right for you, and what you think has to happen, like, oh, I need it right now, that's not the right time. Only when your Guruji grants you at that appointed timing, that is the best timing, that is the perfect timing, and that is when you will be able to evolve on the path of spirituality, not otherwise. Only then will the knowledge enter you, it will percolate down you, you will be able to understand the real meaning of those words. Such was my own experience, and it was very beautiful. So it feels funny when, when people, when they meet the Guruji and says, oh Guruji, please, you make me, understand all this at once. It doesn't work like that. The Guruji can only give you the knowledge. Last week, my Guruji was saying something very interesting. We are having this conversation, and I was asking him a question. I asked him, why, Krishna Ma, that every single time, any scripture that I've opened so far, when I've started, I feel like I'm learning it for the very first time. Though all these lessons have been done, or either you have explained it, or I've read this scripture with you a few times. Why is that every single time I'm finding it very new? To which he said a very beautiful thing. See, today we do not have that ability. Our mind does not have that capacity to absorb. If you take 3 yugas before, everybody were just divine being. They were all born realized. They were all the Paramahamsas themselves. So for them to be on the path of Sattva was very easy. Today we are all contaminated. We are in Kali Yuga, and we do not put so much of effort. Our mind only has selective hearing. So it will only take what is palatable to it. So at that moment in time, whatever the knowledge is comfortable or it feels, yeah, this is acceptable to me, it only takes that much. Rest everything, it just throws it out. So what happens is we are not absorbing all that is being taught. And that is why my Guruji says we have to reread till a point where we are completely immersed in that knowledge. That is why my Guruji teaches the same lesson over and over and over again. Not just that. Last week when he did Das Bodh also, in that Samartha Ramdas has very beautifully said that the Gurus, the great masters, have to teach the same stories, teach the same lessons over and over and over and over again, a billion, a trillion, I think endless times. That is how the knowledge can percolate, and you have to constantly keep listening. You cannot miss out even on a single day that you'll say, oh, today I don't want to listen, tomorrow I listen. No, you have to keep at it, and someday it will dawn on you. So that is extremely important. So practice is very important, and you have to continue with that. My Guruji gave a very beautiful example. Imagine for the last 200 years, we have gone to school, we go through the same thing, right? First standard, second standard, the same syllabus we keep studying. We come to 10, same science, math, history. And all these teachers teach the same subjects over and over again every single year. But they're not bored. It's not about being bored. It's about that knowledge. You have to keep learning it. Can you imagine? And that time it hit me very hard. Oh yes, we've learned the same thing, and the teacher's job is to teach the same thing. How profound that is. So any job that you do, you have to do it consistently and in a very disciplined manner, in a clockwork precision. With human beings today, what is happening is we do not have the discipline and we do not have that consistency at all. We can't get that consistency simply because we don't practice, we don't put efforts. So that is why every day listening to the scriptures or the stories of the saints, I mean reading the scriptures, listening to the stories of the saints and the sages is extremely critical. If you do not practice this, then your mind does not develop the discipline. You're not disciplining your mind. I'm sorry to go on this a little longer, but I'm trying to say that how important it is for us to keep at it, to continue to read. You should not stop even for a day. That is my point. You have to continue for rest of your life. It is the Vaidya doctor who diagnoses the malady and only he knows the benefits of his medicine. But the patient who has no knowledge of it asks first for the sweet jaggery. No doubt, this jaggery is sweet, but it is also harmful. The patient, however, is adamant in demanding it, without which he is not ready to take the potion. The jaggery must be placed in his hand first. Compulsion does not work with the patient. So the Vaidya plans a strategy whereby, though the jaggery is given first and then the potion, yet his purpose is accomplished. For the antidote is changed in such a way that the harmful effects of the jaggery are countered and the prescribed medicine remains as effective. Such was also Baba's methods. Absolutely true. This is how the great masters work. You can force how much you want, you can do all that you want, but they know how to counter it, they know how to, they will give you, but yet it's not going to impact. So they have very beautiful ways of working. But this was not a rule with him always. He would suit his manner of initiation to the spiritual capacity, temperament, service and love and devotion of each devotee. Oh my God, this is absolutely important. A very, very important verse to understand. Though I have explained it enough, but you need to understand this. But this was not a rule with him always. He would suit his manner of initiation to the spiritual capacity, temperament, service and love and devotion of each devotee. The Guruji is always going to test your deservability, and only then, according to your capacity alone, he is going to initiate you. To some, he might give a Kan mantra. To some, he might say, you just go and sit in a corner. To some, he might say, okay, I will do Bhagavad Gita with you. To some, he might say, oh, you just go and recite this prayer every single day. You don't even need to study anything. To some, he'll say, you just need to read this one verse, that is good enough. So the Guru's ways of initiating his devotees and disciples are varied. You can't compare. And most important, deservability and whatever that you can accept or your capacity, how much you can handle, that is all he'll be able to give you. And he knows what is best for you. So never ever question his decision. Most amazing were Baba's marvelous Leela. When he was pleased with anyone, he would give him initiation. Just listen to how and under what conditions. Once it came into his mind to initiate someone, he would bring the devotee a sense of fulfillment of life, and that too quite effortlessly, through fun and laughter. Even when such a thought was farthest from the devotee's mind, if a devotee wished to read a particular book, he quite naturally felt that he would first place it in Baba's hands and then receive it back as his prasad, so that later when he read the book, he would acquire special merit, and so would the narrator of the holy book and his listeners. Some offered in Baba's hands pictures of Dashavatar or the Dashavatar Stotras. Some brought to him sacred books like Pancharatni Gita or other holy books, lives, etc. Some offered even Das Ganu's compositions, Sant Leelamrit and Bhakta Leelamrit, while yet others brought Vivek Sindhu of Mukundraj. Baba gave all these to Shama. He would then say, Shama, let these books be for you. Keep them at home properly preserved. Shama would obey the command respectfully and keep the books carefully. The devotee used to bring the books from the shops with the intention of placing them in Baba's hands and asking for them again as his prasad. Generous as was Baba's nature, even to do this needed generous as was Baba's nature, even to do this needed some courage, and hence they used to take Madhurao with them to convey their wish to Baba. See, you need to understand a very important thing. It is not about you wanting to read a particular text or you buying some scriptures and saying that this is what I want to read. It is only when your Guruji gives it to you when the knowledge opens and he knows what is right for you. This is exactly what is mentioned. It is very beautiful how the great divine masters work. I have to tell you a very cute thing. My Krishna Guruji's only possession here, the one thing that he owns is the knowledge. He's the master of the knowledge. He's the knowledge himself. He loves to buy books. He can spend hours together, visiting any bookstore, and he'll go and dig out some of the most ancient scriptures, the books you cannot even find anywhere. He will be able to get it. And we have beautiful two bookshelves here full of ancient scriptures, and my Guruji will spend his time only in reading them. He'll keep reading so many scriptures and the life story of all the great saints. Not that he doesn't have knowledge, but he shows how to always be lost in that. His time is so beautifully spent, and he keeps telling us, don't waste time. Even 1 second matters. Just yesterday he was giving me an example about how when if you have to send a rocket to the space, even that 1 second matters, and if you do not count that 1 second, your entire angle, the degree will change, and instead of going to the moon, it will go land in some other planet. So that is how it works. The importance of time is not understood by human beings. We do things in a very relaxed manner. My Guruji even says this to me. You have to keep you have to value your time. You have to keep at it. You have to be very precise, very concise. And he'll keep telling me the only way you can get to that is you have to drive yourself. You have to practice it. Disciplining yourself is extremely important. Otherwise, we cannot be successful in anything, whether it is spiritual, material, personal, professional, no matter what job that you do. You need to drive yourself to that perfection, to that level, Otherwise, you cannot get anything. Please know that. So it's very cute. So my Gurudev's, the only possession that he owns on this planet Earth is all his scriptures, and it's very beautiful to watch him reading. And you have to watch his satsang. His satsang is full of knowledge. He gives you so many different stories. Today I made an effort this afternoon. He said you better go prepared, and I wrote very seriously about some of the stories, some of his Facebook updates. And I went and checked what are the chapters so that I can narrate some of these experiences or the knowledge which my Guruji has imparted. And it is very profound. Wow, it's amazing. I'm so grateful for doing the Satcharita itself because I get to learn more. I'm sure you're also learning whatever from Baba's life stories that Baba is teaching here. So let's continue. We have 3 more minutes. I'll just finish this 2 verse and we'll stop here. The devotees used to bring the books from the shops with the intention of placing them in Baba's hands and asking for them again as his prasad. Generous as was Baba's nature, even to do this needed some courage, and hence they used to take Madhavrao with them to convey their wish to Baba. Okay, we will stop here and we'll continue tomorrow and figure out what Baba does and how he initiates his disciples and devotees. Okay. Thank you for joining Sai Satcharita Parayan. I'm sorry for today's some of the glitches. We are in a new place. We are having technical challenges, and we are also trying to, figuring out how we have to be seated and all that. So if there is any issues, kindly pardon us. It's a teething problem. We will be back in full action very soon. See you tomorrow, 7 p.m. Thank you for joining once again. Om Shri Mahaganapate Namaha, Om Shri Gurudev Datta, Om Shri Sajdananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Digambara Digambara Shipad Vallabha Digambara, Om Shri Krishna Gurunath Natha, Shri Guruve Namaha, Om Devi Durgaya Namaha, Om Shri Krishna Arpanam Namastu, Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum.